How about that IG?
Sorry. We're live.
What is up?
Hey IG, what's going on? Facebook, a little lagging. There we go.
There we go. Now we're live. The IG just went live too.
Fantastic.
What's up, party people? Guys, it's Friday and it is freezing in Texas. Freezing. My hands are popsicles.
What is the temperature outside right now?
What up, Fancy? It's 36, 37. It was like 20 something this morning. I think it's supposed to be 80 tomorrow. And then next.
At what time?
I'm not sure.
Midday?
I don't know. I just heard. I didn't actually look. Then next week we're supposed to have another like freeze day. I think on Wednesday or Thursday.
Like ice?
Yes.
Freeze?
Mm-hmm.
Snow?
Yeah. Yeah, so like,
I mean,
it's really
darn.
consistent around here. Texas weather.
Shucks.
Oh man, I'm going to get so much work done if that happens.
Here you go.
It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. The weather forecast today is sunny.
High 55, high
Here
65
we go.
on Saturday, high 71 on Sunday, high of 84 on Monday,
Uh-huh.
high of 71 on Tuesday, Wednesday 45, Thursday 42, Friday 43, Saturday 51,
I heard it was supposed to freeze next week.
Sunday 58.
It's
Well,
supposed to snow and it's supposed to have a 27.
it's supposed to do everything. Yep.
Yeah, so we are on opposite ends of the spectrum here. It's very exciting.
To be Gumby or not to be? That is the question.
That is the question. Man, y'all remember that show, Gumby? Remember that show?
Mhm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I always say, like, I say we want to get to Gumby level flexibility, but a lot of people don't understand that unless you're older.
Yeah. If you are younger, you're like, who is Gumby?
She definitely doesn't understand.
No. She's going to
Alright.
probably
She's
Google it
confused
right
right
now.
now. Yeah.
You should Google Gumby.
All right. Welcome to FreeStyle Friday. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Kadimah.
And I am Casey.
We are talking about flexibility and mobility and the differences between the two. These terms we use them interchangeably all the time.
Yeah.
But there are dynamic differences in between the two.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go through that and kind of talk about this a little bit and why it's important and kind of why I would say it's kind of the stepchild of the fitness.
And it's just like
it's definitely the stepchild of fitness.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely involved in a lot of different fitness, gyms, places that you go, classes. You've got extreme examples like yoga that all they're doing is focusing on those stretches. And depending on what kind of yoga you do, I guess, some is more dynamic and active. And we're gonna go over some examples of that. But first, let's kind of define what flexibility is.
Sure.
Oh, okay. I'll do that. So flexibility is basically the muscle's capability to lengthen and elongate. This is without engagement. So this would be whenever you're holding a static stretch, or you're just like propping yourself up. If you use ROM-WOD or if you've done any sort of static stretching, even if it's just like, you pull the leg up and you're like, oh, I'm stretching.
Or touch your toes.
Yeah,
right?
so you've been doing this since gym class, depending on your age. You've been doing this since you were a child.
Even if they have gym class anymore. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Let's just stay right here.
Yeah, so typically this is holding a stretch anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. All right. You want to go over mobility?
Yeah, it just related to how the joints move, and how they move through motion. That's really mobility. So more joint related and how they move through different motions and planes, right? When we usually think of this, we think of more of a sport aspect of this, like, man, his ability to get under that tackle or evade this rush, and his ankles. Did you see how low his ankles were able to go? We would define that as mobility.
Sure. So an example of this would be if you lift your leg to a 90-degree angle and you're just like, this is the mobility that this joint has because that's as high as it's going. However, if I pull my leg past that point, if I pull my leg past that point, then I'm now working on flexibility because I am kind of extending beyond where the joint wants to go by itself. So kind of for good mobility, you do have to have some good flexibility. They sort of work together here, and we're going to kind of talk about some pros and cons for each of them, and then bring it all together and basically tell you why you need both.
Sounds perfect.
So flexibility is not necessary for overall health, but it can definitely make things easier. I'm sure if you go to our gym or if you're in the gym, you see people that, you know, they can't straighten their elbows all the way, or their back is really hunched over. We're going to talk about some reasons that might happen as well. But regular static stretching, it does show to improve the force that you're capable of carrying in regular activities. So the interesting part is we're going to kind of look at what you should do before a workout and what you should do after a workout. So go ahead.
Yeah, what's interesting about what you're saying is it's not necessarily for health, for overall health. Like, you don't go to the doctor and they go, oh man, you only got a 60% on your ROMWOD score. You're definitely going to die early. I mean, it just doesn't happen. A ROMWOD score is just an overall test of your flexibility in certain areas. Excuse me, I think that's Go1 mobility, but both of them probably do that. But where it tests certain areas and it shows you your overall flexibility. But how it does pertain to your health is the ability for you to move and do daily tasks.
Sure.
Right? Like, you want to be independent for a really, really long time. She referenced a hunchback that you see in some of the elderly. If you want to be able to move or be independent for a long time, you need to have both flexibility and mobility. And so we'll talk about more how that kind of goes together.
And the thing about stretching is that you have to do it regularly. So there's actually not a lot of studies indicating that stretching, let's say that you stretched every day for a month and then you never stretched again. Well, it's kind of like everything else. If you don't use it, it's going to decrease. You're going to lose it. So there have been studies that show that regular stretching increases or induces muscle hypertrophy. So basically an increased volume of muscle and mass. And it's the study that I was looking at was saying that you had to hold a stretch for 30 to 60 seconds. Now, this is actually a very controversial topic, and if you start Googling it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what is what? I truly think it depends on your experience and on kind of finding out what works for you. But when you're elongating the muscle, like, the muscle actually has to relax before any effects are being done to it. So if you're holding a stretch for 10 seconds, are you going to feel some very temporary relief? Yeah, maybe. Like, in that just little moment, I'm ready. Yeah, like, I feel a little bit looser, a little bit warmer, right? But to get those more permanent, long-lasting changes to the muscle, you're looking at holding not only from 30 to 60 seconds, which is what the study was talking about, but we encourage holding stretches for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, because for the elongation to happen, it just takes time of sitting there.
What's interesting is, like, and Stetson has a question here. It says, what is the time/regression of loss of flexibility? Is it more age or limited practice for range? Really, it's habitual. In terms of the time regression, I have not found a study that shows that. There's a big, lots of debates, as Casey was talking about, on actually how much does stretching increase performance and how much does it decrease performance.
Yeah.
Even though they're doing studies,
Yeah.
they're not very good in terms of controlled,
Yeah.
how they've been controlled, so they're inconclusive. So that question and the regressive/loss of flexibility can't really help you with that specifically. You're going to have to kind of do it anecdotally on yourself and go. But I can tell you, it's not age related, because there's several things that aren't age related in terms of metabolism. There are some things related to as protein synthesis, like the ability for us to absorb protein, that does have age implications on it. But the thing is, it's habitual in terms of lifestyle. I can tell you that our jobs have changed a little bit, where we're doing a lot more administrative work, and so we're sitting down more. And I can tell you, from sitting down for 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
My hips,
my hips, my back, my knees, my quads,
neck.
my etc. All of those things have been stressed more, and I can feel flexibility being lost,
I
or
can
joint
too.
mobility being lost. So, I mean, I brought my halfway stand-up desk to start standing up, because that change by itself, that one change in one day, I could already feel the difference, and my body feeling like it's normal again. So it's going to be more habitual. If we sit a long time, our muscles and things are going to adopt to that. What type of stretches are superior? PNF, you need a combination of both. PNF I would use if you're in a particular injury-oriented situation. Like something is so drastically tight, like all the time. Like maybe for the hunchback person, PNF would be really, really good. Static stretching is good, but we just need to look at what you're doing to determine what type of stretches are superior at that time.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about, and we're going to just go into it right now,
Okay.
is before exercise what you should be doing, and after exercise what you should be doing, and that'll help you to know what's superior at that time.
Yeah. So, and to piggyback off of that, like we've kind of created our program based off of that, my hips, my back, my knees, and my shoulders. Awesome. Let's start with the hip. So there's so much information, and they are hardcore. Like some people will be like, do not static stretch before a workout. And then the other ones are like, you only static stretch before a workout. So you do have to kind of figure out where you fall in line, what you believe. And I think our belief system is to be a little bit more dynamic at the beginning, a little bit more activation, a little bit more moving, because that joint mobility is going to help increase flexibility. So, and I tend to be a lover of stretching when the muscle is already warm. Now, if I go back to my childhood where we were in gymnastics, we did static stretching before and after practice. I am still very flexible from 10 years of stretching 5 days a week. But as he was saying, sitting more, working out, I work out more, my muscles get shorter. I can feel like, I'm like, okay, I need to start stretching for sure. But there is evidence showing that static stretching before sports decreases the performance and increases the risk of injury. I mean, that's kind of with a grain of salt, really. I think it depends on how much you're doing. Are you sitting there and only static stretching, and then you're just jumping right into a sport? That's probably not good. You need to make sure you're getting activation, dynamic movement, that your muscles are warm, that your different energy systems are warmed up. So right now, it seems as though if you are on Instagram or in Facebook, which you're on one of them, if not both, you are on one. They're kind of focusing on how pretty and amazing and impressive flexibility is, right? But they don't put too much emphasis on that mobility training. It's kind of, I think, rare to find places that are like, we like both. Like, it seems like the yoga people, they like the static, more static stretching.
It's yoga till I die.
Yeah, but then you're lacking that joint mobility as well. Static stretching before warm-up has shown to impair muscle or explosiveness in the muscle. Again, I mean,
I would say on my own anecdotes, absolutely.
That's why
if we were doing explosive training, we're doing like a sports performance class,
vertical,
I would not have any person doing
static.
anything static.
Yeah.
It would only be dynamic stuff.
Yeah. So I think that there's a great there's a need for it. You just have to know when to use it or how much to use of it. Joint mobility, yeah. So let's talk about some mobility benefits.
Okay.
Okay.
You can do things easier.
Yes.
You can do things more efficiently. You can, what does my cheat sheet say? You can...
Joint mobility is a direct relation to decrease risk of injury. So when you come into class, if you go here, and we have this dynamic warm-up where you're kind of getting movements, this, groiner with a Cossack squat, like you're moving while you're stretching and you're getting this muscle warmed up. We're doing those things to prepare and prime your body for exercise. So if you're standing there talking through the warm-up,
just calling some people out.
You know who you are. So that is a reason that we do those things. So,
and it is prep for specific things too. Like if you think about this for a second, okay? Like think about major corporations that have done this. Like when I worked at FedEx, they had us do a not a static stretching, a mobility routine.
I love
to
that.
Start the day.
That blows my mind.
They do the same thing. You have to go through it didn't matter if you were 70, like you were working there, you're going to do that crap. It was part of what you had to do. This is very if you look at different cultures, I believe, I don't know if it's necessarily Korea or Japan, but I've seen them do specific warm-ups on their job as a part of what they do before they even go to work, before they start their work. You'd be surprised how many injuries were prevented because they did a study and figured out, by us incorporating this 10-minute warm-up, we decreased our insurance. We've had less people be injured, which means less of that sign that you see that says less time since the last incident, right? We've had less of those, right? Less incidents in general. And just overall improvement because you're moving. The less you move, the more you die. Show over. It's true.
I'm actually glad you're watching. So Dr. Taylor is my next point. If you are experiencing immobility in your joints, and then the direct correlation of that is that your posture is going to suffer. So also, if you sit at a desk job, your posture is suffering. Let's just be real. You're not made to sit like that all day. If you are texting or on Instagram all the time, looking down at your phone, you are going to look. I'm laughing. You should see what's going on back here. But this is not a good look. That's going to happen. You can't be in that position. Our bodies were not meant to be in that position. So there are several studies. What's he saying?
He said, I like how you're promoting warm-ups, but you also literally called it crap. I don't care if you're 80. You're going to do that crap. You're going to do those things.
Oh, well, crap things. It's fine.
There you go.
So without strong muscles around your joint, basically it's going to be difficult to maintain that good posture. Most everybody has crappy posture in some form or fashion. They're suffering in some way from something in their lifestyle, or maybe they're just immobile, right? We know a doctor. His name is Dr.
Who
Taylor.
always is watching.
Dr. Taylor at Aspire Chiropractic will hook you up. He takes care of all of us. And, if you have old injuries or whatever, he's really good at making sure that he's giving you the care that is appropriate for those specific needs that you have. Trust me, I'm Humpty Dumpty. I'm a hot mess. So I go and see him 3 times a week, and it's the highlights of my day. I love it. Don't take that too far. Yeah, Dr. Taylor, don't you just hold those horses there.
What are the stats and facts on how stretching improves ligaments and joints? From my knowledge, I haven't seen anything specifically. They've done them in really short cases, like in terms of...
Are you talking about stretching or mobility? Are we talking about flexibility or mobility? Is he?
I would believe that he's talking about flexibility.
Okay. Yeah, and I have not seen any statistics on how they're directly related as well, because basically flexibility and elongating the muscles, not necessarily strengthening the joint. So I don't know that they're...
We've seen some different emerging groups, we'll talk about how yoga has a joint mobility standpoint, and the joints have become too loose, right? And so they can't be supported by the ligaments and okay, so yeah, the ligaments, and it's inconclusive, I guess, is really the thing. But I can tell you this, though. If you've tried to put something, or you've watched somebody put something on a shelf, and they've had to change their position to get it up overhead, right? Or one of my favorite things is that the example that I've used, since I could try to get clients to understand why it was important and why we were doing it, is I try to think of, if you ever had your car and you forgot to take the emergency brake off, right? You're driving and you could just feel that the car is willing to go, but it's not going as well as it can go, right? In comparison to when you take it off and you're like, the car just wants to freely move. That's kind of like your body when it's not as flexible or as mobile. So your flexibility will help determine how mobile you can be.
Yeah.
So your flexibility, if you're trying to put, this is the farthest you could extend your arm. When you try to press something overhead, you're fighting against yourself, right? Now, if you had the ability to go right here, this is an easier pathway, more efficient, less strenuous on the joints. You're working the right muscles properly. Typically, when you have less flexibility, the wrong muscles get overworked, which leads to injury, right?
Yeah.
Or depending on what you are doing actively, you overstretch that particular thing because you sent it too far.
And
you told it to go, and it did. But you went to Snap City.
That's why a lot of people disagree with stretching when the muscle is already warm, because people tend to overstretch because they're used to feeling that, when you get into the bottom of a stretch, or you hit that, final point, it's a little bit painful at first, maybe the whole time that you're there. When the muscle's already warm and your body is already warm, you can go a little bit further instantly. So then whenever you push yourself to that point of pain, you're overstretching. So you do have to be a little bit cautious whenever you're warm, not to get yourself into a position where you're like, I'm gonna just tear this up, right? That has actually happened to me in yoga. I know exactly the feeling. Overstretched my hamstrings. I do it every time. Feel great, and then I'm like, I feel like crap. So it is a real thing, overstretching. Easier to do when your body's already warm. But an example of some, of pelvis immobility may be linked to, and Dr. T, if you're still on, you can probably chime in on this, linked to healthy spinal posture. Hip mobility can affect the curvature of your lower back, your lumbar spine. So there are direct correlations with your mobility, flexibility, and your posture as well. So these are I don't think anybody wants to be the person that's like hunched over and can't do things whenever they're older. So let that just scare you a little bit. We need to work on some mobility. Go ahead.
I'd say, what is the proper moderation of stretching? In stretching, I would say almost every day.
Yes.
Especially on days that you're super active, or you've worked out a particular muscle group. Once I'm done with that workout, and let's say that I did upper body, then I would be focusing on opening up that upper body after I've just worked it out. Another day I'm doing lower body. I would emphasize and work out those specific muscles that I worked that day. If your job, though, and it will also depend on the moderation of your job. If you do sit all day, you need to be taking at least 4, I say 4 because I'm thinking of 2 stretches, right? But really 4 to 10 minutes to stretch the muscles that are most impacted, so you get the best bang for your buck.
Hip flexors.
Yep, hip flexors, glutes,
Yeah.
And calves, right? I mean, I notice that my calves shorten and get tight if I've been sitting for a while. So ankle mobility is affected for me, so I go in and stretch those calves. So those three things:
Yeah.
quads, glutes, and calves. If you
I can tell I need to start stretching, that means I'm gonna have to commit. I'm gonna say, to start off with, I'm gonna commit like 5 to 10 minutes a day. And 5 minutes, I'm like, yeah, I can spare 5 minutes. I can do something else while I'm stretching. Even if that's all that it starts off with, that's improvement. And so I am starting right there at the babyest level. You know, you guys stretch a lot. I mean, they do a lot of mobility. However, naturally, they need to do a little bit more mobility. You know, like it's just genetics too plays a role. Man,
It's also nature too. I mean, the thing you went through was 10 years of intensive stretching, 5 and 6 hour practices where stretching was a part. You literally put more time in.
Yes.
And you put it in earlier, like an investment account.
Yeah.
She put her time in. She made deposits in the bank a lot earlier than we did, right? We started making deposits when we had to. When the coach told us, especially if you were in football, you know this. 1, 2, 3, 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
10. You know you stretch for 10 seconds on about 10 stretches,
Yeah.
and that was it. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
That's an easy answer to do when to do it. What is the answer for when not to?
When not to stretch?
From the studies, the most conclusive would be if you're doing sprint exercise to be doing some kind of long static stretching during that time. Otherwise, I can't really think of a time.
I can't either. I love stretching. I'm a huge fan of static stretching. We like to have you guys hop in those static stretches after class when you're warm. And it's a nice way to cool down too. It's a nice way to relax your body for just a second.
The other time would be if you just strained the muscle
Yes.
and you're trying to stretch it out. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that ain't gonna stretch out. You need to let that rest.
Yep.
Yeah. Or if you've overstretched and you're feeling that, you know, it's sore, kind of almost like strained a little bit, or wherever it is, feeling like bruised or sore to the touch, probably don't want to stretch that. Now, if you're sore from working out, that's different. But if you're sore from stretching, that you
That's bad.
yeah, you've overstretched. You've overstretched if you've done that. So even though this is a controversial topic, there is crazy information going both ways. I think it's safe to say that we here are a fan of both. We think that they're both beneficial. I know because of the time invested when I was younger that I will always have a passion and a respect for static stretching, and because of what we do in the gym and our warm-ups and getting ready and prepared for a workout, you know, I see the value in that dynamic movement as well.
Yeah, I would say that it's always fun to see, like, when you do certain things outside the gym. If you're always in a routine, you don't really do that much different. But you take, I don't know, maybe going to somebody's backyard and installing a play rig for your kids, or like getting help to do that and having to maneuver around a fence and press over your head and do different things and get your body in small positions while holding certain things. You realize, like, oh man, this stuff does work. Like, exercise is important. Like, oh man, this flexibility actually does help. So these are all kind of things that I would think about as to why. But
Thanks, Stetson. He said stretching was her first love.
And it will be her last.
And it will be her last.
Yeah. But guys, we could jam on this topic all day. If you do have questions, please feel free to message us.
Yeah.
If this content helped you in any way, please share it with somebody. Like and share. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, IG, too. We had all kinds of people hop on. Guy, he's coming back next week.
All right.
Top Trainer Supplements, what's up? Debbie, Blake, what up, guys?
Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Kadimah.
I'm Casey.
See you next week.
Peace. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Remind me again what the title was?
To be Gumby
to be
or
Gumby
not
or not
to
to
be?
be.